From the Berkshires to the Sound, from wherever you live in MLB America, this is Inside the Parker. You give us 22 minutes and we'll give you the scoop on Major League Baseball. Now, here's Baseball Hall of Fame voter number 57.
You have another hot take.
Will not NOT make the playoffs.
Shohei me the money.
Rob Parker.
Come on! I've been covering Major League Baseball for almost 40 years now. In New York, in Cincinnati, in Detroit, in LA. I love this game. Let's go! Welcome into the podcast, and I'm your host, Rob Parker. And what a show we have for you today. Before we even get started, remember, press this button, the subscribe button, so that you're always here, always up to date with all the best coverage of Major League Baseball. As you know, I've been covering baseball since 1986. I love the sport. This is the place for your baseball fix. Welcome into the podcast. I'm your host, Rob Parker, and what a show we have for you today. Former Major League pitcher David Cone drops by. He'll tell us about the NL East, the Mets, Soto, some other stuff. Can't wait to get his insight. Also, from MLB.com, we'll talk with Jason Beck. He covers the Detroit Tigers. Plus, we'll have a Parker Pushback, that and much more. Let's go.
To lead off, it's Getting Robbed.
And keep them up.
Rob's hot take on the three biggest stories in Major League Baseball. Number one.
On Thursday, the Pittsburgh Pirates fired their manager, Derek Shelton, to no surprise. I mean, the Pirates were scuffling 12-26. They lost their seventh in a row on Wednesday. And guess what? The Pirates have Paul Skeens, and they're not going to waste a number one ace like a Paul Skeens on a terrible team. They have to figure this out. Not that the Pirates automatically were going to tear up the National League or anything, but there's no way that they thought that they couldn't compete and would be this bad, especially when you have a pitcher like Skeens on your roster. When you have a guy like him, it usually stops you from losing 5, 6, 7 in a row because this guy's going to pitch every fifth day, and he's going to give you a chance to win almost every single time you get out there. But the Pirates have been really bad. So the Pirates have decided to make a change and at manager. So Shelton is out in Pittsburgh. And now Don Kelly, who was their bench coach, is now the manager as they try not to let this 2025 season get away from them.
Number two.
I don't care what you say. The Texas Rangers are the most disappointing team in the American League. Coming into Thursday, they're 18-19, scuffling at the plate. They got a new hitting coach in Brett Boone, trying to light a fire under these bats. Jake Berger, who they got to bring some power and to their lineup, has been sent down to AAA. This guy hit 29 home runs last year, 34 a couple years ago, and has really struggled. And how bad the offense is think about this. Jacob deGrom is back and pitching well. Coming into Thursday at 2.61 ERA, 2 wins, 1 loss, but they're not winning his games. He's given up less than 3 runs a start. And before his last 2 starts where the Rangers actually won, they had lost his 3 previous starts. So the hitting has really hurt this team. I get it. The hangover after winning the World Series, a year ago, and then last year they scuffled. They didn't make the playoffs. And I just don't believe that most people thought that getting a pitcher of Jacob deGrom's talent added to your team and some other pieces that you would be off to such a rough start. I mean, only the Angels are worse in the division and not that far behind the Rangers. So it's been a really, really rocky, bad start for the Rangers. Bruce Bochy, one of the best managers in baseball, got to get this thing turned around. When you're firing batting coaches and making changes in late April, early May, it's bad and your hair's on fire. So the Rangers have been disappointing. If they miss the playoffs again this year, it will be really bad in Texas.
Number 3.
Want to talk about something that's weird, that's something that you can't explain? How about the New York Mets? Every year, they lose the 34th game of the season. Are you ready for this? Since 2010, for 16 years, they've lost 16 straight game number 34 of every season, no matter where they're playing, home on the road, no matter who they're playing, they cannot win that game. I think that's the weirdest streak. How in the world does somebody even go back and think, hey, they lost game number 34 again? There's some quirky things in sports. This is one of them. I wonder if the player, like, what could that possibly be? And there's some gambler out there that knows that bets against the Mets every game number 34. I wish I knew. I could have made some shekels betting against the Mets in game number 34. Regardless of that loss, they're off to a great start, and we know they lead the NL East going into Thursday. So even with that automatic loss, the New York Mets are good to go.
Here comes the big interview. Listen and learn.
Oh, it's so good.
Now let's welcome in former Major League pitcher David Cone, who of course won a Cy Young in 1994. He pitched a perfect game in 1999. Also won 5 World Series, 1 with the Blue Jays, 4 with the Yankees, and is a top broadcaster now with the Yes Network, Amazon Prime, and ESPN. Coney, what's happening? How are you?
I'm doing good, Rob. How's it going?
All good, man. A couple topics, man. Love to get into with you. Let's start with one of your former teams, the New York Metropolitans, and they're off to a good start in the NL East. Really beast at home. I think they, started off like 11 or 12-0 or something crazy. But anyway, the Mets, they signed Juan Soto. They're trying to get to the World Series. Do you like this team the way it's constructed?
I do. I very much like this team. I think they have some prospects in the minor leagues too that are kind of knocking on the door that could fill in some blanks for them as well. Obviously, pitching is always the big question. You got to give them a lot of credit for having the foresight to see a guy like Clay Holmes, the former closer with the Yankees, as a starting pitcher option, and so far so good. And to me, that deserves a lot of credit. Anytime you can find those kind of nuggets like that in the weeds, you've done something. You've done your job as a front office. So I think they're starting to click on all cylinders now. David Stern's now firmly implemented in the GM role. He's got all the resources he would ever need with the owner, obviously Steve Cohen there. So, yeah, they're a dangerous team. They have tremendous resources. And Pete Alonso's pretty good. Who knew, right? Pete Alonso's pretty good. He's off to an unbelievable start. And Juan Soto, I think, is going to get better and better as the season unfolds.
I was just going to ask you about Juan Soto. And the Mets have had a history of signing big-time players, and they scuffle, especially their first year. We even saw that with Francisco Lindor. I mean, it was bad his first year, and now, obviously, he's cemented in there, and he's doing great. But Juan Soto got off to a so-so start. Fans on the radio in New York were calling him Juan So-So.
Well, yeah, I guess the bar is set so high, right? When you think of Juan Soto and you think of the contract that he signed, you expect all world kind of performance, and he's only accumulated, I guess, according to Baseball Reference, 1.6 WAR so far. That's pretty good, actually. That's the thing with Juan Soto is that, you're looking for the superstar numbers, but what you really get with him, because he was signed so young at his age, you get a really high floor with him. His struggle is an 850 OPS. His struggle is only 7 home runs so far through the first 6 weeks and a 260 batting average. Pick out whatever metric you want. Are you an old school guy? You like batting average? You like RBIs? We can look at that. You like new school metrics, the under the hood look? We can look at that as well. Juan Soto is still pretty good right now, and he's very much underachieved. He's capable of a lot more. The thing you get with him, as I said, a really high floor. You're never going to get a crash out with him, probably his entire career, because he owns the strike zone. He's always going to walk. He's always going to have a high on-base percentage. He's always going to contribute offensively to help you score runs. That's Juan Soto in a nutshell. He's never going to crash out on you. He's always going to maintain that certain level of production. And this is on the bottom part of the level right now that you've seen. and it's still pretty high compared to everybody else in the league.
Our guest is David Cone, former Major League pitcher, and of course, broadcaster with the Yes Network, Amazon Prime, and of course, ESPN. Even though the Mets are off to a good start, we cannot shortchange the NL East, because when you look at the Phillies are right there, and the Braves got off to a horrible start. They've turned things around. Do you expect these three teams to fight it out in the NL East?
I do. I absolutely do. The Phillies have the pitching. Their starting rotation is as good as anybody's. Wheeler's still one of the best in the game at the top of their rotation. Nola's starting to get better and round into form after a slow start. Jesus Luzardo was a great trade in the offseason. They've added to that already great rotation. So, yes, the Phillies are going to be there based on their pitching, their starting pitching, and the pedigree. Certainly the Braves and their outstanding young core. They get Ronald Acuna Jr. back. You get Spencer Strider back, and then they're off and running again. I think any team that can stay around 500 through injuries is a dangerous team when you have the potential that both the Phillies and the Braves have. It's when you start falling down below 500 too far that you have to waste your hot streak to get back to 500. You understand this better than anybody, Rob. The expanded playoff format changes everything. Just get a ticket to the dance, and then you can do damage in postseason. It's a different ball game. You hang around 500 now for the first 4 or 5 months, you're fine. You get a big run late, you get into the postseason, you got a chance to really make a name for yourself in postseason.
No doubt. His name is David Cone, one of the best in the business. Man, we appreciate you, Coney. Thank you for your insight.
My pleasure, Rob. Anytime. Good to be on with you.
Yep, we'll see you at the ballpark, my man. Thank you.
Sounds good.
In case you missed Rob Parker on the MLB Network, here's his latest appearance on MLB Now.
Showdown is not meant to cause offense or harm. The viewer acknowledges any reliance on the accuracy or completeness of said content should be done at their own discretion. The host apologizes in advance for any affront as a result of personal attacks.
Again, I say, thank God for Rob Parker. He shows up on the Showdown and he says the most outrageous things. And occasionally he's right. And I admit it when it happens. How are you, Rob?
I'm good, BK. How are you? Outrageous. I'm just trying to keep it real here.
You're your own guy. I'll give you credit. All right, here's your topic number one, because Rob sends these in. Here we go. Shohei Ohtani has plateaued. Sell me on that.
BK, have you watched this year? Oh, my goodness gracious. Here we go. I'll just give you the numbers. 10 home runs and 15 RBI. I don't know about you, but that sounds like Dave Kingman with a better batting average. I mean, really? 15 RBIs? We're in May? I mean, I've seen this guy strike out a number of times. It means you're not knocking in anybody when it's not a home run. So that's not the Shohei Ohtani I saw a year ago. That's all I'm saying.
Rob,
there's no way you could have 10 home runs and 15 RBIs.
You know RBIs are reliant on your teammates. You realize that, right? Like, you can only drive guys in when they're on base, and that's not up to you. Let me show you his last 3 years, because Shohei Ohtani's last 3 years, he is actually almost the same guy. The batting average is within 11 points. On base, almost identical. Slugging, all right, I'll give you this. He's 26 points lower than last year. But his OPS plus, it's higher this year than the previous 2 years. He's the same. He's essentially the same guy. Like Stan Musial, like Mickey Mantle didn't have identical years like that. He's about the same guy.
No, and here's where I'm talking about. He's supposed to be on a plateau with Aaron Judge, these two MVP type seasons. I can sit here honestly and say I expect even more for Aaron Judge as he continues. Ohtani is not going to match last year's season, and I can't see him as we go forward have a better year than that. Can I look at Aaron Judge and say he's going to have better years than he had this past year? Yes, I do believe that.
And that's what is making him like an all-time great. I just mentioned Mickey Mantle. Like, Judge is up there with Mickey Mantle. That's the highest praise. Ohtani also, I'll just throw in, Rob, just listen for a second. Ohtani leads the league in runs scored. He leads the league in triples. He's slugging 600. Later this year, he's going to pitch. What are you missing? He's the same guy that he was last year, except now he's going to pitch eventually.
No, but Brian, come on. 15 RBIs on 10 home runs.
You got to get out of the 70s. RBIs, you have to have guys on base. That's your teammates. So his teammates are not getting on base. And if you say he's plateauing, if he's plateauing at a peak, that's not a plateau. He's peaking. He's staying at a peak.
No, he's not staying at a peak because he had more RBIs. So now all of a sudden, you're telling me he's not getting it. You're telling me he's getting no hits when guys are on base, or is it just home runs?
So he's choking with men on base. He's not getting guys on base, even with the Dodgers, or he's leading off in the bottom of that order. I don't even know. Is he leading off? The bottom of the order is not getting on base for him.
BK, I live in Los Angeles. I watch Dodger games. I've seen him strike out plenty of times in situations with guys on base. It's not like he's getting a hit every time guys are on base, is all I'm saying.
But he's getting on base 40% of the time. He's getting on base can we show the numbers again? Just the last 3 years. He's getting on base 40% of the time. He's slugging 600. Rob, I'd be happy to hate on the top dog. I mean, that's what we do. But I'm sorry. He's slugging 620. There's no hate. There's nothing there's no there.
BK, will he match last year's numbers? I'm going to ask you. He's going to have the same numbers he had last year?
Percentage-wise, I bet you that slash line is almost identical. It's almost identical. The answer is yes.
He will not have 50 steals.
RBIs are fluctuating. Well, 50 steals, right, won't happen because then he's going to be pitching eventually. All right, let's get to this.
Will he have 50 home runs?
50 home runs? Possibly. Possibly.
No, he will not.
What's he on pace for? 45, 46? It's possible.
Yeah, but that's on pace.
And that's his totals.
Less than that. It could be 38. I'm just saying. And that's a pace.
He's on pace for 44. He's on pace for 44. Are there years where Mantle won the Triple Crown with 56 homers and then he had 44? Yes. And he was still Mickey Mantle at his peak. Is it time to revisit the Javi Baez situation in Detroit? Go ahead.
Yes. I think he's a comeback player of the year. I mean, he was left for dead. I mean, Javi Baez couldn't hit his way out of a wet paper bag. It was so bad. And now he's batting .318 with the Tigers. And he's playing the field. He's playing center field like he was in high school or something.
Yeah.
Making plays.
Yeah.
He's not trying to crush every ball. He's actually being more focused at the plate and has returned to a decent player for the Tigers, and they're leading the AL Central, and he's contributed. He's the AL comeback player of the year.
I'm stunned by it, and you're absolutely right. Him playing center field, you're right. It's like this guy can just do anything, right? A lot of guys can't. They go to center field, they look bad. They're exposed. Not Javi Baez. Somehow he's able to time things. He's a natural seemingly out there. His hitting has been good, but Rob, let me just show you something that will kind of give you a portend for the future. The difference between his WOBA, that's his hitting, that's his results, and his expected results. He's overperforming by a wide margin, third highest, like Carson Kelly is on that list as well. These guys are going to regress a bit. And Javi Baez, he hasn't changed his plate selection that much or his strikeouts that much. He's gotten a little better, but on the by and large, those numbers I would expect to come back. They're going to come back the way he plays.
I'm not going to say he's going to hit .318 for the season. I agree with that. But you got to give him some credit from the standpoint that he was left for dead had it not been for this contract, which has this year and 2 more on it. Had it not had that contract, he would have been released by the Tigers. There's no way he would still be on this team.
No. He deserves credit, right? He has filled in. They've needed him. Parker Meadows hurt. He's gone to center, has filled that spot, and they're about the best team in the American League, Yankees and Tigers. Give you credit there. Rob, thank you so much. See, thank God for Rob Parker.
When Rob was a newspaper columnist, he lived by this motto: if I'm writing, I'm ripping. Let's bring in a writer or broadcaster, old or new.
Now let's welcome in a friend of mine, Jason Beck from MLB.com. He covers the Detroit Tigers, does a great job. Jason, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Great. Great to be back. Thank you.
Always. We got to get you on at least once a year. Let's talk about these Detroit Tigers first in the AL Central coming into Thursday's action. 23-13, off to a great start. We remember last year, came out of nowhere, made the playoffs. Exciting stuff, but they're here to stay, apparently.
Yeah, a lot of people wondered whether the style of play that kind of got them into the playoffs down the stretch last year was sustainable over the long term, and so far it's worked. The pitching chaos, not so much, but they've replaced that with a really dominant rotation right now with the emergence of Casey Mize and Derek Shelton picking up where he left off. But the aggressive base running and the opportunistic offense and the tough at bats have lived on. So they've really kind of taken the momentum and built off of it without necessarily relying on, just running the same thing back.
Here's the thing. I mean, obviously, they were able to trade Jack Flaherty away, and now they've gotten him back. You talked about Skubal and Mize. Talk about Skubal first, and then I want to hear where he is, and then give me the Mize and where he is and what is working for him. First, Skubal. I mean, he got off to a little rocky start, our first couple of starts, but he's been really good since then.
Yeah, he's really kind of settled in. He doesn't necessarily rely. He reminds me of Scherzer in some ways, in that he doesn't just rely on the same stuff working and staying put. Scherzer always used to say, "You either get better or you get worse. You never stay the same from one day to another or from one year to another." So you've seen Skubal try to build off of what he had going. The changeup is still his big out pitch, but the velo with the fastball is played up. He's been able to work in the curveball every now and again. Not a ton, probably not as much as he might rely on it later in the year, but you've seen that good. And the slider has been fantastic. So it's he's really kind of read what hitters have been trying to do against him, and he's really attacked it. And it's been a little bit of a different mix because whereas Jake Rogers was his catcher for every start last year, every pitch actually, Dylan Dingler's had to step in with Jake Rogers injured, and has really kind of brought out some a little bit of a different look to his game. Not big, but just kind of subtle differences in terms of reading hitters and kind of which pitch would work against which hitter.
How about just the idea of getting Flaherty back? Obviously, he won a World Series with the Dodgers last year. Just to solidify, were they happy that they were able to bring him back in the fold?
Yeah, it's really kind of been a blessing. I don't think that was necessarily a big part of their plans. But when Flaherty was still out there on the market come February and the Tigers needed one more starter, or they felt like they needed one more to kind of deepen their rotation, they pounced and they were able to do a creative 1-year deal with a player option for next year. Flaherty gets a chance to come back to where he was comfortable and try to, get that stuff back to the point where he could prove it again and try to get a long-term deal, maybe, next winter. Or if it doesn't work out, he can take the option and run it back again. I don't think we've seen the best of Jack so far this year. I think he would admit that, but you kind of see the ingredients coming together where, come mid-season, he should be, back in form to where he can give these guys some really quality innings down the stretch.
And Mize, tell me that. What of a big surprise has he been?
I think the key for Mize has been health. He was able to have a healthy offseason for the first time in 3 years, I think, where he was able to work on, simply pitching instead of having to rehab something or get healthy or try to figure out how this works or that. He was able to focus on the pitching. And what you saw was he's throwing the splitter harder now than he did, before the injuries. And it looks much more like the pitch that was the dominant out pitch for him in college. He was able to do some renditions off the slider to get it to behave a little bit differently depending on how much velo he puts on it. And he was able to get confidence back in being able to get right on his fastball. So, this is the Casey Mize I think the Tigers thought they were getting when they drafted him 1-1 back in 2018. This is a guy who can not only be part of a major league rotation, which, let's be honest, I don't think everybody was entirely convinced of that going into spring training. But now he looks like a frontline type of starter, maybe a solid number 2 and number 3.
All right. His name is Jason Beck, one of the best baseball writers in the country. My man, Jason, thank you so much. Always appreciate you.
Always good to talk baseball with you, Rob. Thanks. Take care.
Now, here's the best from MLBBro.com.
Hey everyone, it's Kelsey Cole Nelson. Be sure to check out What's Poppin' each and every week on MLBBro.com.
All eyes were on MLB bro Jaden Fielder this week, who hit a home run in his first professional at-bat at the Arizona Complex League on May 5th. What makes the story even better, get this, the 20-year-old signed as an undrafted free agent back in the 2024 Major League Baseball draft last year. Well, if the last name sounds familiar, he is the son of former Brewers first baseman Prince Fielder, a 12-year MLB veteran. Jaden now makes a three-generation in the majors, joining his father and his grandfather. Prior to Arizona, he played second and third base at TNXL Academy in Florida and was committed to North Florida, an NCAA Division I school in Jacksonville. The two-run homer gave the Brewers a 3-1 lead in what eventually became a Brewers 12-6 win in this rookie-level league.
It's sponsored by MLB Bro, because you need to know.
No! This is baloney!
It's the Parker Pushback.
Shut the up!
Here, Rob tackles the outlandish takes in Major League Baseball.
You idiot! Shut up!
I'm pushing back on all the people who thought that the NL West, the National League, and the World Series was going to be the Los Angeles Dodgers. It was a formality, and I get it. The Dodgers coming into Thursday are in first place in the NL West, but I'm here to tell you that it will be a battle. It will be a struggle. I'm still sticking with the Padres, who came into Thursday a game and a half behind the Dodgers. The Giants are very close behind that. And so are the Diamondbacks. My goodness gracious, the NL West might be the best division in baseball. 4 really good teams, and the Dodgers won't have a cakewalk. I believe the Padres will win the NL West, and the Dodgers obviously will make the playoffs. The Dodgers should have lost to the Padres a year ago in the postseason. The Padres choked, but I do believe this year the Padres pitching and where they are, that they will be able to beat the Dodgers. I do. I think it's really hard in Major League Baseball to repeat at winning a World Series. It hasn't been done in 25 years, and it won't. NOT, it will not happen this year with the Dodgers. I'm Rob Parker, and that's my pushback.
Make way for Weekend Wagers.
Yo, it's Sean Bo. Fire up those bed naps. Let's go. Another 1-1 week last week. 1 win, 1 loss. Becoming a little bit of a theme of the season. But let's get right starting on Friday as we go ahead and head to the D, where the Detroit Tigers take on the Texas Rangers. And you know we're going to go big under money, under 8.5 runs, as Patrick Corbin versus Tyrese Skull should be an amazing pitcher matchup. I don't foresee too many home runs, if any, leaving the park this game. The exact opposite can be said on Saturday, as the Bronx Bombers, the New York Yankees, come through to West Sacramento to take on the A's. And the itty-bitty ballpark next to the bridge, you know balls will be flying, as they currently lead the Major League in home runs allowed in Sacramento.
Hi, I'm Rob Parker, the founder and editor of MLBBro.com, where we cover black and brown major leaguers. 75% of the content will be about the current black and brown stars in Major League Baseball. The other 25%, we'll take a look back at some of the great black players. On the site, there'll be a ton of great written stories and videos and features.
MLB Bro, because you need to know.
MLB fans, when it comes to Major League Baseball, no one covers it better than the Odd Couple.
Fact.
I am the baseball king.
First, second, third, and home.
We're leading shows with baseball. Game over.
They don't watch it.
They don't know the game.
All in one place.
Let's go!
Right here on Fox Sports Radio.
I love baseball.
In the words of New York TV legend, the late Bill Jorgensen, thanking you for your time this time until next time. Rob Parker, out.
He can't get it. This could be an Inside the Parker.
See you next week. Same bat time, same bat station.